Settle back now. Let whatever you are lying on receive your weight completely. Feel the back of your head, the length of your spine, the backs of your hands, the weight of your legs, all of it, sinking, gently, without effort, into whatever is beneath you. You do not need to hold yourself up tonight. You have been holding yourself up all day. And now, that is done, your body knows what to do from here. It has always known. You only need to let it. Close your eyes and breathe. One long breath in through the nose, feeling the chest rise, the belly soften and expand, and then a slow, complete exhale, all the way out, until the lungs are empty, and then the next breath arrives on its own, without invitation, without effort, as it always does, as it always will. You are breathing. The night is here, and I am going to take you somewhere. Somewhere that has been waiting for you. Somewhere old and quiet and extraordinarily still. Follow me now. Leave everything else exactly where it is. It will be there in the morning. Tonight you are going somewhere else entirely. You are at the shore of a lake. Not the ocean. A lake. Still water. Dark water. Water that holds the reflection of the sky so perfectly that for a moment, standing at its edge in the last of the evening light, you cannot tell where the water ends and the sky begins. Both of them vast, both of them quiet, both of them the same deepening shade of blue that the world turns in the last few minutes before dark. The ground beneath your feet is soft, fine dark sand, still warm from the day, giving slightly under your weight the way something gives when it is glad to receive you. You stand at the edge of the water and you simply look out. There's nothing on the other side of the lake that you can see. Just the dark water, perfectly still, and beyond it the suggestion of mountains, their shapes barely distinguishable from the sky above them. Dark against dark, enormous and quiet and entirely indifferent to anything except simply being there. They have been there for millions of years. They will be there for millions more. And tonight, for a little while, you are here with them, at the edge of this still water, in the last of this fading light. The air here smells of cold water and pine and something mineral and clean that you have no name for, but that your body recognizes immediately as the smell of a place that is good, a place where nothing is required of you, a place that existed long before you arrived and will exist long after you leave and is entirely, profoundly, peacefully unbothered by either. You breathe it in, and your shoulders drop, just slightly. Just enough, as if your body has been waiting for permission to do that since early this morning. There's a small wooden jetty extending into the lake to your left. Old wood, weathered silver gray by years of sun and rain and ice. It does not creak in the way that things creak when they are unsafe. It creaks the way old things creak when they have settled completely into themselves and are simply responding to the familiar weight of a person who has come to stand on them at the end of a day. You walk to it. Your footsteps on the planks are soft and hollow. The sound travels out across the water and is absorbed by it immediately. The lake takes it. The lake takes everything quietly, without drama, without complaint. You walk to the end of the jetty and you stand there. The water is only a foot below you. You look down into it. Your reflection looks back, dim, wavering slightly. Not quite you, but entirely yours. And then a breath of air moves across the surface and your reflection dissolves into 1,000 small ripples, and then the water stills again and you are back, whole, looking up at yourself from the depths of the lake. You sit down. Your legs hang over the edge. The air coming off the water is cool against your ankles, cool and clean and very still. And you sit there, at the end of the jetty, in the last of the evening light, and you let the lake be the lake, and the mountains be the mountains, and the sky be the sky, and yourself be yourself, and none of it asks anything of any other part, and everything is exactly as it should be. And the day falls away from you the way a coat falls from your shoulders when you finally step inside somewhere warm. The first star appears. You almost miss it. It is so small and so faint that it takes a moment for your eye to confirm it is really there and not just a trick of the fading light. But it is there. One point of cold, steady light above the dark line of the mountains. You watch it. It does not flicker. Stars only seem to flicker from a distance. Up close, impossibly, unimaginably close. They burn with a constancy that makes everything human seem brief and soft and very small. But tonight that smallness is not frightening. Tonight that smallness is a relief. To be small, here, at the edge of this lake, under this enormous quiet sky, it means the enormous quiet sky is holding you. And it is. It is holding everything. The lake and the mountains and the jetty and you. Sitting at the end of it with your legs hanging over the dark water, watching the stars arrive one by one as if they have been queuing patiently behind the light all day and are only now being let through. Another star, and another, and then several at once, in a cluster, as if they encouraged each other. The sky deepening around them from pale gray blue to something richer and darker and more absolute with every passing minute. You watch it happen. You have nowhere else to be. The water below the jetty makes a small sound. Not a wave. The lake is too still for waves. Just the almost imperceptible movement of water against the wooden piles beneath you. A soft, rhythmic press and release. Press and release. The lake breathing. You match your breath to it without deciding to. In with the press. Out with the release. In, out, the lake and you, breathing together at the edge of the evening, under the arriving stars, in the cooling air that smells of pine and cold water, and the particular silence of a place that is very far from anywhere that makes noise. A bird calls from somewhere along the shore. One note, low and clear, and then silence, as if it said the one thing it needed to say and then was satisfied. You feel the same. You have nothing that needs saying tonight. Nothing that needs thinking, or deciding, or solving, or understanding. You only need to be here, sitting at the end of this old jetty, breathing with the lake, watching the stars come in. You lie back on the jetty. The old wood is smooth beneath you. Sun warmed still, just barely. A warmth that is almost gone but not quite. The last warmth the wood has saved from the day, offered now to you as you lie back on it and look up. The sky above you is enormous, not threatening enormous, held in two hands enormous, the kind of enormous that makes you feel gathered rather than exposed. The stars above you now number in the dozens, spreading outward from that first lone point of light that arrived above the mountains, filling in the dark with their patient, ancient, unwavering light. The back of your head rests on the wood. Your arms are at your sides. Your palms face upward. There is nothing in your hands. There is nothing you need to hold. The jetty holds you. The lake holds the jetty. The earth holds the lake. And you are held, therefore, by everything, all the way down, all the way to the quiet center of things. You close your eyes. The sound of the water against the piles continues. Press and release. Press and release. Behind your closed eyes, the last of the day's light plays out in colors you have no names for. The particular red of the inside of eyelids in the dark. A soft orange at the edges. And then, as you breathe and the minutes pass and the wood beneath you holds you and the water moves its small, rhythmic movement below you, the colors fade. The red becomes deeper. The orange retreats. And you are in a darkness that is not empty but full. full of the sounds of the lake and the wood and the air moving through the pines along the shore, full of the warmth of the wood beneath your back, full of the smell of the night coming in off the water, full of your own breath, slow and even, arriving and departing in the same unhurried rhythm the lake has been keeping since long before you arrived and will keep long after you have gone. You are inside the night now, not looking at it from outside, inside it, held by it, part of it. Your thoughts drift, not urgently, not in the way thoughts sometimes come at night, sharp and insistent, pulling you back to things you cannot change and things you cannot yet know. Not like that, like this instead, slow and loose and widely spaced, the way clouds move on a day with very little wind. A thought appears at the edge of your awareness. You notice it, you do not chase it, and it moves on across the wide sky of your mind and passes over the horizon and is gone. Another comes. You notice it. You do not follow it. It goes. And the sky of your mind is a little more open now, a little more blue, a little more quiet. And the next thought, when it comes, is fainter still. And the one after that barely qualifies as a thought at all. More of sensation, a color, the feeling of something half remembered from a long time ago that was good, simply good, without needing to remember what it was. The jetty rocks, just barely, so slightly you might have imagined it, but it is real. A minute movement of the water below, transferred up through the wooden piles and into the planks beneath your back, a gentle rocking, side to side, less than an inch in either direction, the lake reminding you that you are on water, that you are floating, that the solid thing beneath you is only temporarily solid, that beneath it is the dark and patient water that goes down and down into the cold, quiet depths of the earth, and that knowledge, the knowledge of the depth below you, is not frightening. It is the opposite. It is the most comforting thing you have felt all day, to know that beneath the solid thing that holds you, there is something deeper still, something that goes all the way down, something that has no bottom you will ever reach, something bottomless and dark and entirely, permanently, profoundly still. You sink toward it, not literally, but your body, your heavy, grateful, resting body, sinks in the direction of that depth, toward the quiet below the quiet, toward the still below the still, further down, and further still. The mountains across the lake are invisible now. The sky and the lake and the mountains have all become one dark thing, differentiated only by the stars above and their reflections below. Two skies, one on either side of you as you lie on this old jetty between them. Stars above, stars below, and you, suspended between two skies, weightless, held, breathing, drifting. A moth crosses your field of vision, white against the dark, erratic and unhurried at the same time. The way moths move, as if the path matters less than the moving. It disappears into the dark above you, and the dark closes behind it without a seam. You are aware of your body only dimly now. The backs of your legs, the weight of your arms, your breath. These are the remaining coordinates of yourself in the physical world. Everything else is softened and spread and merged with the night around it. Your thoughts are elsewhere or nowhere. Your body is here but barely, just a breath. In, out, just the wood beneath you and the water below and the stars above and the cool night air moving so slowly across your skin that it feels less like air and more like the night itself, reaching down to touch you, to check on you, to find you resting and say, good, good, this is exactly right. This is exactly where you are supposed to be. A fish breaks the surface of the lake somewhere out in the dark. A single sound. A small splash, clean and precise, and then rings spreading outward across the water that you cannot see but can somehow feel. The way the surface of the lake changes with even the smallest disturbance, rings moving out and out until they reach the far shore and dissolve and the lake is flat again. The sound is gone before you are finished hearing it, and the silence that follows is deeper than the silence before. The way all silences deepen after a sound, the way all rest deepens after the acknowledgement of something beautiful happening at no great distance from where you lie. You heard it. You let it go. You are getting very good at letting things go tonight. The wood beneath you has fully accepted your weight now. There is no part of you that is bracing or holding or maintaining. Every point of contact between your body and the jetty has softened into it completely. Your shoulder blades, the backs of your arms, the long flat of your spine, the backs of your knees, your heels, all of it given over, all of it released into the wood that holds you without effort, without complaint, without any requirement that you be light or different or less than exactly what you are. You are received completely, just as you are, just as you have always been. The pines along the shore make a sound now. Not wind exactly, the merest suggestion of movement in the air. The needles finding each other in the dark and making the quietest possible sound as they do. A sound like breathing. A sound like the shore itself is inhaling very slowly and holding it and then letting go. And then holding it. And then letting go. You have been listening to it for some time without knowing you were listening. The way you listen to things when you are very nearly asleep. Receiving them without processing them. Letting them move through you rather than stopping them at the surface of your attention to be examined and understood. They do not need to be understood. The pines do not need to be understood. The water does not need to be understood. They only need to be here. As you only need to be here. Both of you simply present in the dark. Both of you simply breathing. Your hands. You notice your hands. Not because they are doing anything. Because they are doing nothing. And the doing of nothing. For hands that have been busy all day. That have typed and carried and opened and closed and gestured and held. The doing of nothing is itself a kind of arrival. Your fingers are slightly curled. Not clenched. Just the natural resting position of a hand that has finally been allowed to rest. The palms facing upward. Open. Receiving the night air across their skin. There is nothing in them. There is nothing they need to hold. You notice the feeling of the air on your open palms, and it is the most specific and present sensation you have felt in some time. Cool air. Open hands. The small miracle of having nothing to carry. The lake is perfectly still now. Whatever small movement the fish made when it broke the surface has long since dissipated. The rings expanding outward until they became too small to measure and then ceased entirely, and the lake resumed its absolute flatness. Mirror flat. The stars above and the stars below the same. If you opened your eyes you would not know which way was up, but your eyes are closed. And you know which way is up because the jetty is beneath you and the sky is above you, and your body knows the difference even when your mind has stopped caring about it. Your body is very wise. It knows things your mind has never learned. It knows how to breathe without being told. It knows how to rest when rest is finally allowed. It knows how to receive the night, how to open to it, how to let it do its slow and necessary work. Your body is doing all of this now, quietly, competently, without requiring anything from you except this stillness, this surrender. A low mist has begun to form above the surface of the lake. You cannot see it with your eyes closed, but you can feel the slight thickening of the air. The way the cold comes in differently now, softer, more diffuse, as if the air itself has become something you could almost hold in your hands. The mist rises from the water in slow, unhurried columns that drift and merge and separate and drift again, moving with no urgency in the almost still air, obeying no law except the most patient and indifferent of physics, simply doing what cold air over cold water does at this hour, at this temperature, on this night that is like every other night the lake has ever known and unlike any other night that has ever been. Both of these things are true at once. Every night the same. Every night the only one. You have stopped tracking time. At some point in the last hour, or what might have been an hour, or might have been 20 minutes, or might have been longer than either, you stopped checking for time the way you sometimes check for it in the night, that anxious arithmetic of hours remaining, hours spent, hours needed. That arithmetic is gone. There is no remaining here. There is no spent. There is only the jetty and the lake and the mist and the stars and your own breath, arriving and departing. And none of it is measurable in the way that time is usually measured. It is measurable only in depth, and the depth is very great, and you are a long way down into it. And it is good here. It is very good here. Something lands on the jetty near your feet. Small, weightless almost. The faintest tap of something arriving on the wood. A moth, perhaps. Or a small beetle navigating its enormous world. Or simply the wood itself, cooling in the night air, contracting by the smallest fraction, making the almost inaudible sound of a solid thing adjusting to the dark. You do not open your eyes. You do not need to know what it is. It is something small and alive, or it is the wood settling, and in either case it is entirely, peacefully harmless, and in either case it is part of the night, and the night is part of you now, and so it is. In whatever way these things are true at this hour, part of you too. You are connected to everything within earshot, everything within reach of your breath, which the night carries outward from you in every direction, mixing with the mist and the pine-scented air and returning to you changed, having touched the lake and the trees and the mountains and returned. You breathe what the mountains breathe. You breathe what the lake breathes. All of it moving through you. All of you moving through it. The stars have reached their fullness now. The sky is as crowded with them as it will get tonight. More than you could count. More than anyone has ever counted. The number of stars visible to the naked eye on a night like this from a place like this, away from the light of cities, away from the amber wash of human wakefulness, runs into the thousands, thousands of points of light, each one a sun, each one older than the ground you are lying on, each one burning with a constancy and a heat that makes the word enormous mean nothing, and beneath all of them, on a small wooden jetty at the edge of a still lake in the middle of a quiet night, you are lying with your eyes closed and your hands open and your breath slow and your body heavy and your mind somewhere below the reach of thought, drifting in the dark water of almost sleep, almost there, almost gone, the surface of wakefulness far above you now, rippled and remote, and below you nothing but depth and quiet and the slow certain knowledge that you are safe. That you have always been safe, that the night has never once failed to end. Your breath is the only clock here. In, out, each cycle a little slower than the one before, each exhale a little more complete, as if with every breath your body finds a slightly more efficient way to let go, as if letting go is a skill and your body is practicing it and getting better. You are getting better at this with every breath, better at releasing, better at receiving, better at the fundamental and forgotten art of simply being a body in the dark, breathing, held, alive without effort, at rest without apology. The mist is thicker now above the water. You can feel it. The air has a softness to it that it didn't have an hour ago, a gentleness. As if the night has wrapped itself in something soft and is holding you inside that softness. The temperature is perfect. Not cold enough to make you tense. Not warm enough to make you restless. The precise, exact, unrepeatable temperature of this particular night at this particular hour at this particular latitude, which happens to be the temperature your body has been waiting for all day. The temperature of permission, the temperature of rest. Your mind offers you something, an image from earlier in the day, a face, a room, the texture of a moment that has already passed and cannot be changed and need not be revisited, and yet here it is, offered up by the mind the way the mind offers things in the hypnagogic dark, without context, without urgency, simply surfacing the way things surface in still water. You look at it. You do not reach for it. You do not push it away. You simply let it be there. The way the moth was there. The way the fish sound was there. Present and then passing. Here and then gone, leaving no mark on the stillness of the lake that cannot immediately be smoothed away. The image fades. The mind is quieter now. It has offered what it had to offer. It is settling, going down, following you into the depths you have already reached. Give it time. It will get there. It always does. The wooden piles beneath the jetty make a sound. A low, resonant, almost musical sound. The sound of water pressure against old wood. The lake leaning into the structure that has stood in it for so many years, and the structure leaning back. Both of them finding the same equilibrium they have always found, the same balance of force and resistance that keeps the jetty in place year after year through winter ice and summer heat and the passage of more nights than anyone has counted. The sound is very low. You feel it more than hear it. A vibration in the planks beneath you. A hum, as if the jetty is singing to itself, as if the lake is singing through it. As if everything that has stood long enough in one place eventually begins to resonate with the thing it is standing in. You have been here long enough now. You are beginning to resonate. There is no boundary now between the back of your body and the wood beneath it. Or rather, there is a boundary. Technically, the skin of your back against the grain of the wood, the physical fact of two separate things in contact. But you are no longer aware of it as a boundary. You are only aware of it as warmth, as contact, as the simplest possible version of not being alone. The jetty is with you. The lake is with you. The mountains are with you, even in their invisibility, even in the dark, their mass and their age and their absolute patience with you and everything else occupying the same stretch of night. You are held by more things than you can name. You have always been held by more things than you can name. This is simply the first time tonight that you have been still enough to feel it. An owl, distant, on the far shore perhaps, or in the trees above the near shore, or somewhere between. It is difficult to locate sound across still water. The lake carries it in all directions equally, scatters it, democratizes it so that it seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. One note, low and round and full, the sound of something entirely comfortable in the dark, something that belongs to the night the way you belong to the day, completely, naturally, without question. You listen to the space after it, the silence that is shaped now by the memory of that sound, a silence with an owl-shaped hole in it, into which you fall, softly, without resistance, all the way down. Down. Your body is so heavy. Not the heavy of exhaustion, though you are tired. Not the heavy of illness or sadness or the weight of difficult things. The heavy of completion, of a day fully lived and fully done and fully released. Of a body that has done what it was asked to do and is now, at last, being asked to do nothing. Nothing. What a word. What a gift. Nothing required. Nothing expected. Nothing owed. Only this. The weight of your body on the wood. The sound of the water below. The feel of the night air on your skin. The slow tide of your breath. In. Out. Nothing else. Nothing more. Nothing. The mist lies across the lake now like something breathing, rising and falling in the almost still air with a rhythm that is too slow to be certain of, but that you feel nonetheless. The way you feel the breathing of someone sleeping beside you without counting their breaths. Just knowing, just feeling the presence of that rhythm and finding your own rhythm aligning with it without any decision being made. The lake breathes, the mist breathes, the pines breathe, and you breathe. All of it together. One enormous, slow, communal breath. In, out, the world inhaling, the world exhaling. You somewhere inside that breath, small and safe and held, going nowhere, needing to go nowhere, already exactly where you are supposed to be. There's a word that has no translation. The feeling of being exactly where you are supposed to be. In the right place at the right time in the right body doing the right thing. Or in this case doing no thing. Being no thing except present. Except here. Except this. You are inside that word right now. Whatever it is. Whatever language it belongs to. You are living it rather than saying it. And that is always better. That is always more. The night is at its deepest point. Not the darkest. The darkest was earlier, when the last of the twilight left and before the moon that hasn't risen yet was even a possibility on the horizon. The deepest, the most itself, the hour when the night has fully become what it is and is not yet thinking about becoming anything else. This hour belongs to the lake and the mist and the stars and the owl somewhere on the far shore and the small things moving through the undergrowth along the water's edge and you, lying on the jetty, breathing, nearly gone, one hand trailing toward the dark water below, not quite touching it, not quite. The air between your fingers and the surface of the lake is the thinnest possible gap between waking and sleep. A gap measured not in inches, but in breaths. 2 breaths. 1 breath. The water receives your reflection one more time. Dim and wavering and entirely yours. And then a breath of air moves across the surface. And your reflection dissolves. And the stars come back. And you are gone. The pines on the far shore have gone completely still. There is no movement in them now. No sound from the needles finding each other in the dark. No suggestion of air moving through the branches. Everything on the far shore is simply there. Simply dark. Simply present in the way that things are present when they have nothing left to prove and nowhere left to go and have been standing in the same place for long enough that standing has become indistinguishable from being. You listen for the pines and hear nothing, and the nothing is perfect. The nothing is exactly right. Your breath moves in the space the pines have vacated, in and out through the quiet they have left behind, taking up the rhythm they have set down, carrying it forward into the night on their behalf. You and the pines, taking turns with the silence. You breathe. They are still. You are still. They breathe. None of it requires any effort from anyone. None of it requires anything at all. The lake holds a reflection of the stars, and the stars hold their positions in the sky, and the sky holds everything beneath it, and you are beneath it, held, breathing, nearly gone. The last thin filament of wakefulness so fine now that you can feel it between your fingers like a thread of silk, present, real, and at any moment ready to dissolve. The mist that has been rising from the lake all night has reached the level of the jetty now. You cannot see it with your eyes closed, but you feel it on your cheek, the finest possible moisture. Not quite dampness, the idea of dampness, the ghost of water in the air that comes off a lake at the deepest hour of the night when the temperature of the water and the temperature of the air have found the point of closest agreement, and the mist rises as a consequence. As a natural and inevitable and utterly peaceful consequence of 2 temperatures meeting in the dark. It touches your face. It is the softest thing that has ever touched your face. Softer than fabric. Softer than hands. the lake itself, reaching up to find you, checking on you, finding you here and resting and still and saying, "Good," and withdrawing again, back down to the surface of the water where it drifts and turns and catches the starlight and releases it again in the slow, patient cycle it has been running since long before tonight, and will run long after this particular night has joined all the other nights that have ever been. You are one of those nights now. You have become indistinguishable from the night itself. Your breath is part of its breath. Your stillness is part of its stillness. Your rest is what the night is made of. There's a heron somewhere along the near shore. You know this not because you have seen it or heard it, but because you feel its presence the way you sometimes feel the presence of something large and still and entirely unbothered by the world. It is standing at the water's edge on one leg, its long neck folded into itself, its eyes open but seeing nothing in particular, in the mode that herons enter at night, which is not quite sleep and not quite waking, but something older than either. Something that birds discovered long before mammals arrived and complicated everything with their restless, overheated, endlessly processing minds. The heron is not thinking. The heron has never thought in the way that you think. The heron simply is, at the edge of the water, on one leg, in the dark, and it has been simply being for long enough that simply being has become the most natural thing imaginable. You are learning from the heron tonight, without knowing it, without deciding to. You are becoming, very slightly, more like the heron, still at the water's edge, present without processing, here without needing to understand what here means or why you are in it or what it requires of you. It requires nothing. It has always required nothing. You just needed to be still long enough to discover that. The wood beneath you is cool now. The last of the day's warmth that it had been holding when you first laid down has finally, gently, released itself into the night air, and the wood has reached the temperature of the dark around it. Not cold, just cool. The cool of something that has given everything it had to give and is now simply itself, temperature matched to the night. Indistinguishable from the dark in the way that you are becoming indistinguishable from the dark, the boundary between you and the night dissolving breath by breath, the edges of you softening, the outline of you blurring, the definition of where you end and where the night begins becoming less and less a question that has any relevance to anything. You are in the night is in you. Both statements are equally true. Neither one is more important than the other. A cloud moves across a portion of the stars. You cannot see it, but you feel the slight change in the quality of the dark above you. The stars behind the cloud not gone but filtered, their light arriving through a thickness of water vapor that softens them, scatters them, makes them less points of light and more general luminescence, a glow rather than a glitter. The sky becoming for a few minutes a softer and more diffuse version of itself. And then the cloud moves on and the stars return to their sharpness, and the dark above you is the same dark it was before, and nothing has changed and everything has continued, and the world has managed this transition, as it manages all transitions, without requiring anything of you at all. Your heartbeat. You can feel it now with a clarity you rarely have access to. The pulse at your wrists, the deeper pulse in your chest, the slow, steady, completely reliable rhythm that your body has been keeping since before you were born, since the first moment your heart began its work in the dark of the womb and has not stopped since, not once, not for a single beat, through every difficulty and every joy and every ordinary and memorable day and every night like this one. Working away in the dark of you, keeping time, keeping you, asking nothing in return except to be allowed to continue. You are so grateful to it tonight. Your heart, working in the dark, on your behalf, without complaint, without recognition. You feel it beat and you are grateful, and the gratitude is not an emotion exactly. Not something that requires expression or acknowledgement, just a warmth in the center of your chest that is the feeling of knowing. Simply knowing that you are cared for from the inside, that you have always been cared for from the inside, that even when everything outside you was difficult or uncertain or unkind, inside you the heart was beating, keeping you, holding you together, doing its quiet, essential, underappreciated work. Beat and beat and beat. The stream you cannot see has changed its sound, or rather your perception of it has changed, as your perception of everything has changed over the course of this long, slow, deepening night. Earlier it was something you listened to, a sound you received and processed and identified as stream. Now it is simply part of the texture of the night, as indistinguishable from the general quiet as the mist or the stars or the temperature of the air. It is there, but it is not separate from everything else that is there. It has been absorbed into the whole, as you have been absorbed into the whole of the night, the whole of the lake and the shore and the mist and the stars and the old jetty and the heron and the pines and the mountains invisible in the dark and the cool air moving so slowly it barely qualifies as movement. All of it one thing, one enormous, quiet, living, breathing thing, and you somewhere inside it, part of it, indivisible from it, resting. The quality of your breath has changed. You may not have noticed, but it has. The inhale is shorter now. Not shallow exactly. Efficient. Your body is taking only what it needs, which at this depth of rest is considerably less than it needed an hour ago. The exhale is longer. The exhale has become the dominant movement, the majority of each cycle given over to the long, slow release of air that is the body's way of letting go of one more thing, one more small unnecessary thing, releasing it into the night where it disperses and disappears and is gone. You are breathing out more than you are breathing in. You are releasing more than you are taking. And this is right. This is correct. This is the mathematics of deep rest, where the body finds its most economical relationship with the air and settles into it, and the settling feels like falling but is not falling, is the opposite of falling, is arriving, is the body finding the floor of the night and resting on it, and the floor being not cold and not hard but soft and warm and precisely the right shape for the weight you are bringing to it. The stars above you are the same stars that have been above every person who has ever lain on their back in the dark and looked up. The same stars above the first people who ever lay down under an open sky. The same stars above everyone who has ever been tired and still and in need of rest, and all the history of everyone who has ever needed rest, which is everyone, which has always been everyone, which will always be everyone. You are not alone in this. You have never been alone in this. The whole long human history of lying down and looking up and breathing and letting go is with you tonight on this jetty, and it is so much company, such deep and quiet company. The company of everyone who ever rested under these same stars and found that the stars were enough, that the dark was enough, that the breath was enough, that enough was always and had always been and would always be exactly enough. Nothing more is needed. Nothing more has ever been needed. Only this, the breath, the dark, the stars, the water, you. Everything you are and everything you have been and everything you will be. All of it resting, all of it received, all of it held in the wide, indifferent, tender dark that has been holding everything since before there was anything to hold, and will hold everything long after the holding is finished, and even then will simply continue, quietly, without urgency, as it has always done, as it will always do. World without end. The lake has deepened in the night. Not literally. The water has not changed. The bed of the lake is where it has always been. The same silt and stone and slow accumulation of centuries at the bottom of the same cold dark water. But your sense of it has deepened. Your relationship to it has deepened. What was when you arrived simply a body of water, a thing you could name and categorize and file away under lake, has become over the course of this long still night something else entirely. Something larger, something that resists the word lake the way very large things resist the small words we give them. It is not a lake anymore. It is the place you are. It is the ground of this particular night. It is the thing that has been holding your reflection in your breath and the sound of your heartbeat moving through the wood of the jetty and down into the water below and out across the surface to the far shore and back, carrying you with it, carrying everything with it, the way water carries everything, indiscriminately, tenderly, without preference or judgment, simply receiving whatever comes to rest on its surface and holding it there for as long as it stays and releasing it when it goes. You have been held on this surface all night. You are held on it still. And the holding is so complete now, so total, so without gap or reservation, that you have stopped feeling it as a thing being done to you and started feeling it as simply the nature of things, as the way the world is, as the permanent and underlying condition of everything, which is that everything is held, always, by something, all the way down to whatever is at the bottom of everything, which is also held, which is holding and held at once, which is the nature of the ground of things, which is what you are resting on tonight, the ground of things, the bottom of the night, the place where rest finally becomes indistinguishable from being. Your face is completely let go. You might not have noticed this happening because it happens so gradually. The small muscles releasing one by one over the course of an evening, the forehead first, the space between the brows, the muscles around the eyes, the jaw last because the jaw holds on longest, because the jaw is where the day lives, where the tension of language and decision and the holding back of things that needed to be held back accumulates over the hours and settles in and makes itself comfortable and is the last to leave, but it has left. The jaw is soft, the mouth is slightly open. The face you are wearing tonight is not the face of the day. It is the older face, the one that was there before the day put its requirements on you. The face you had as a child when you slept without knowing you were sleeping, without any part of you standing guard, without any part of you listening for the thing that might need attending to. That face is back tonight, resting on the old wood, turned slightly toward the sky, receiving the night air and the faint moisture of the mist and the very distant light of the stars on its skin. This is your real face, the one beneath the one you wear. And tonight it is resting. Tonight it is free. A ripple moves across the lake from somewhere on the far shore. Something has disturbed the water there. Something small and nocturnal that came to drink at the edge and stepped in slightly or dipped its nose to the surface and sent a single ripple outward, a thin ring of displaced water moving across the flatness of the lake toward you, carrying with it the information of its origin, the small living thing on the far shore going about its night, thirsty, ordinary, entirely unaware of you lying on the jetty as it drank, as you are entirely unaware of it. Two living things occupying the same body of water on the same night with the same need for the same quiet and finding it each in their own way. The animal at the water's edge and you on the old wood above the water. Both of you drinking from the night in the way that you are able. Both of you taking what you need. Both of you small and alive and temporary against the permanence of the lake and the mountains and the sky. The ripple reaches the jetty. You feel it. The faintest movement in the wood beneath you. A single pulse, like a heartbeat, like something the lake is sending you. You receive it. You let it pass through you. You let it continue outward behind you to the shore and dissolve there into the sand and the roots of the lakeside trees and cease to exist as a ripple and become simply part of the general rest of things. Gone, as everything goes, as everything is always gone, and the lake is flat again, and the night is quiet again, And you are here again, more here than before, more present in your absence, more deeply arrived in the place that is no place, the place that is only rest, only breath, only the slow and patient darkness doing its necessary and ancient work. The temperature of the air has dropped another degree. You would not normally notice a single degree, but tonight you are calibrated to the night in a way that you are not usually calibrated to anything. Your body tuned to its surroundings with the precision of an instrument that has been warming up all evening and has finally reached the temperature at which it can detect the finest gradations of the world it sits in. 1 degree. You feel it on your forearms. A new coolness settling over the skin like a second skin. A skin made of air, thin and cool and present in the way that the mist was present, the way the night is present, touching you everywhere at once, lightly, completely, without force or urgency. Simply here, simply in contact, simply part of the long, slow conversation between your body and the night that has been going on since you lay down and that has reached by now a kind of fluency, of ease of exchange. The two of you no longer translating for each other but simply speaking the same language, the language of temperature and breath and the movement of air over skin and the weight of a body on old wood above dark water under a sky full of stars. Your legs have stopped existing in any meaningful sense. This is not alarming. Your legs are there. The physical fact of them has not changed, but your awareness of them as legs, as the specific, named, functional parts of a body that walks and stands and carries you through the day, has dissolved completely. They are simply warmth now, simply weight, simply the lower portion of the long resting shape of you on the jetty, connected to everything else, part of the whole, requiring no separate attention, no separate name, no separate existence apart from the general existence of you lying in the dark breathing. The whole of you is like this now. Not legs and arms and chest and head. Just you. A single resting thing. Undivided. Whole in the way that things are whole when they stop being defined by their parts. Somewhere in the forest behind you an animal is moving. Not close. Far enough that the sound reaches you as impression rather than detail. A presence in the undergrowth rather than a footstep. A disturbance in the quality of the silence rather than a sound within it. Something large enough to move the branches slightly. Something unhurried. Something completely at home in the dark in the way that all the creatures of the night are at home in the dark, navigating by senses you do not have, reading the night in a language your body has forgotten over the long years of living in lit rooms and looking at screens and filling the dark with the noise of human wakefulness. But tonight you are remembering something. Tonight, lying here, your body is recalling something very old about what the dark is and what it is not. The dark is not an absence. The dark is a presence. It is full of things. Full of the breathing of creatures and the movement of water and the slow work of roots and the turning of the earth and the particular intelligence of all the living things that have made the night their home and know it better than you know anything and are moving through it right now all around you, in every direction, going about their lives with a competence and a certainty and a total absence of anxiety that you find, lying here in the borderland between waking and sleep, to be the most comforting thing imaginable. They know what they are doing. They have always known. The night has always been full of things that know what they are doing, and you are one of them tonight. You know what you are doing. You are resting. You have never done it better. The reflection of the stars in the lake has shifted. The stars themselves have continued their slow arc across the sky, the earth rotating beneath them with its usual patience, its usual disregard for the smallness of the things living on its surface, its usual commitment to the long and the slow and the geological over the quick and the urgent and the human. The stars are in different positions now than they were when you first lay down. New stars have risen in the east. Others have descended toward the western treeline. The whole map of the sky has rotated by some number of degrees that you could calculate if you wanted to. If you were that kind of person tonight. If tonight were that kind of night. But it is not, and you are not, and the degrees do not matter, and the only thing that matters is that time has passed. Real time. Significant time. And you have spent all of it here. On this jetty. Breathing. And this is the best possible use of time that you can imagine, which means that you have not wasted a single second of it, which means that the night has been perfectly spent, which means that you can let it continue being spent in exactly this way for as long as it lasts, which is long enough, which has always been long enough, which will always be long enough. The wood of the jetty has a smell. You notice it now for the first time. Old wooden lake water and something resinous. Something from the pine trees that have been dropping their needles onto this jetty for years. The resin of them working into the grain of the wood over time and giving it a faint, clean, cool smell that is the smell of this particular place. The smell that belongs to this jetty and nowhere else in the world. The smell that if you encountered it anywhere else would bring you back here instantly. To this night. To this water. To this sky. To this rest. Your body is memorizing it without being asked. Your body memorizes everything that is good without being asked. It keeps a record of every moment of genuine rest and genuine safety and genuine peace, filed away in the deep places that language cannot reach, available to you in ways you will not be able to articulate but will be able to feel in the future, on difficult days, when you need something to return to. This night is being filed away, right now, while you breathe. This particular quality of dark and this particular temperature of air and this particular smell of old wood and pine resin and cold lake water is becoming part of you. Part of the permanent record of places where you have been safe, places where the world held you, places where you needed nothing and were given everything. You will carry this night with you. You are already carrying it. The moon has not risen tonight. You have had the dark to yourself, the full and modified dark of a moonless night at this latitude at this time of year, and it has been a gift you did not know to ask for, the gift of the unlit sky, the gift of stars without competition, the gift of a darkness thorough enough that the world has simplified itself down to its most essential elements and left everything else for tomorrow. Tomorrow the moon will rise. Tomorrow the sun will rise. Tomorrow the world will fill itself back up with light and noise and requirement, and you will rise with it and be in it and do what it asks of you. But that is tomorrow. Tonight is tonight. Tonight is this. This breath. This dark. This water. This weight of your resting body on the old wood. This is tonight, and tonight is enough, and tonight is yours, and you are giving yourself to it completely. The way the lake gives itself to the sky, reflecting everything, holding everything, asking nothing, simply present, simply here, simply and entirely and completely at rest. The night is ending. Not yet. Not for some time. But somewhere beyond the furthest edge of the sky, beyond the mountains that you cannot see, beyond the long dark miles of forest and field and sleeping world, the first infinitesimal suggestion of the day is beginning its approach. You cannot feel it yet. Nothing around you has changed. The lake is as dark as it has been all night. The stars are as bright. The mist still drifts above the water in its slow and patient way. But somewhere, far off, something has shifted in the quality of the dark. The way a room shifts almost imperceptibly in the moment before someone enters it, the air changing slightly, the atmosphere rearranging itself in some way that is not visible and not audible, but that the oldest part of you, the part that is older than language and older than thought, can feel. The day is coming. It is very far away. You have hours still. But it is coming, and some deep animal part of you knows this and is content with it, is not alarmed by it, receives this information and files it away and returns to the business of resting, because the day coming is not a threat. The day coming is simply the next thing. And the next thing is a very long way from now. Now is the jetty. Now is the water. Now is the breath. Now is this. Your body has reached the deepest point of rest it can reach while still holding the thinnest thread of awareness. You are so far down into the quiet that the quiet has become the only landscape, the only terrain, the only country you can imagine existing in. The country of the deep rest, where the borders are made of breath and the currency is warmth and the language is the slow movement of blood through the body in the dark. You have been a citizen of this country for some time tonight. You are fluent in it now. You know its customs. Its customs are simple. Be still. Breathe. Receive. Release. Nothing more is asked of anyone, hey? Nothing more has ever been asked. The stars are beginning a conversation with the horizon. A conversation so slow and so subtle that it is measured not in words or even in minutes, but in the almost imperceptible brightening of the place where the sky meets the edge of the mountains, where the black of the sky is perhaps a fraction less black than it was an hour ago, a shade closer to the deepest possible blue, the blue that exists for only a few minutes each morning in the time before the light arrives properly, the blue that has no name in most languages because it lasts only long enough to be felt and is gone before it can be described. That blue is still a long way off, but the conversation that will eventually produce it has begun, and you are here for it, without knowing you are here for it, present at the very beginning of the end of this particular night. Your breath has found its final rhythm, the rhythm it settles into at the very bottom of the night when sleep and waking have become the same thing and the body is doing everything it needs to do without any assistance from the mind. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, in, out, a rhythm as old as the body itself, a rhythm that requires nothing, means nothing beyond itself, is simply the sound and movement of a living thing breathing in the dark, which is the most fundamental and the most beautiful thing there is, which is the thing that everything else rests on, which is the ground beneath the ground beneath the ground. In, out, in, out. The mist on the lake has reached its greatest extent. The whole surface of the water is covered now in a layer of soft white that moves so slowly it appears still, that is so even and so complete that the lake has disappeared entirely beneath it, and what remains is a field of white, luminous in the starlight, stretching from the jetty to the far shore and from the near trees to the distant mountains, a field of quiet white in the middle of the dark world, a field that exists only for this hour, only for this particular confluence of temperature and humidity and stillness, only tonight, only now, and that will be gone by morning, burned off by the first warmth of the arriving day, leaving no trace, leaving the lake exactly as it was, as if the mist were never there. But it is there now, and you are here now, and the two of you are sharing this hour, this particular and unrepeatable hour, the mist doing what mist does and you doing what you do, which is breathe and rest and let the night have its way with you, which is the best and only thing you have ever needed to do at this hour, which is the thing you are doing, completely, without reservation, without any part of you held back from it. The old wood of the jetty knows you now. After a whole night of contact, it has learned the particular weight and warmth of you, the specific pressure points where your body meets its surface, the temperature you run at. The rhythm of your breathing transmitted through the planks is a faint and regular vibration. The jetty knows you the way old things know the people who have rested on them, the way old chairs know their owners, the way old houses know their families. A knowledge that lives not in memory but in the grain and the texture of the thing itself, wood and the stone and the fabric of it, a knowledge that cannot be articulated but that is real, that is as real as any other kind of knowing, that is perhaps more real than most. You are known here. You have always been capable of being known. The water below the jetty has its own light now, not the reflected light of the stars, though that is still there, the stars still duplicated in the dark surface between the patches of mist. Something else, something from below. The lake at this hour produces its own faint luminescence, an effect of the microscopic life that lives in it. The tiny creatures that glow at depths that no eye ever reaches, their light rising through the water in the way that warmth rises, diffuse and sauceless and faintly blue-green, barely perceptible, the kind of light that you see only when you have been in the dark long enough for your eyes to open fully, for the pupils to reach their greatest dilation, for the rods to come into their full sensitivity, the rods that our ancestors depended on in the long dark nights before fire, the rods that still work perfectly if we give them the chance, if we are patient with the dark, if we let the dark do its slow and necessary work. You have given the dark that chance tonight. You have been patient with it, and it has given you this in return, this faint and sourceless light from below, this glow at the edges of things, this sense that the world is not dark at all when you look at it long enough, that the world is always giving off a little light, always, even in the deepest part of the night, even at the bottom of the lake, even in the places that seem most thoroughly dark, there is always a little light, a little warmth, a little of something that refuses to be extinguished, that has been refusing to be extinguished since the very beginning, and has no intention of stopping now. You are like this too. You know this about yourself, here, at the bottom of the night, in a way that you may not know it in the morning, in a way that the day sometimes makes it difficult to know, but that is true nonetheless, that has always been true, that will always be true. Even in your darkest hours there has been a little light. Even in your most exhausted nights there has been a breath. Even when everything seemed to have gone quiet, there was a heartbeat, working away in the dark, on your behalf, without fail. The mountains across the lake have become, very slightly, more visible. Their outlines, which were indistinguishable from the sky behind them at the deepest point of the night, are beginning to re-emerge, the sky above them brightening by degrees so small they are almost theoretical, almost a matter of belief rather than observation. But real, undeniably real. The sky above the mountains is the tiniest fraction lighter than the sky directly above you, and the outlines of the peaks are beginning to separate themselves from the dark, beginning to become mountains, again rather than an absence in the sky, beginning to remind you that they are there, that they have been there all night, patient and enormous and entirely unconcerned with the passing of the dark, as ready for the light as they were for the night, as ready for the winter as they are for the summer, as ready for everything as only very large and very old things can be. You breathe. The mountains exist. The lake lies between you. This is enough. This has always been enough. A single bird calls from somewhere along the shore. One note, then silence. The first bird, the one that always calls before the others, the one that wakes earliest or sleeps latest or simply cannot help itself, cannot wait for the full permission of the dawn before it offers its one note to the air. You hear it. It does not wake you because you are not asleep, or you are not only asleep, you are in the place that is both and neither, the warm and borderless place where the single note of a single bird is simply part of the texture of the world, and the world is simply part of the texture of you, and none of it requires any response except the next breath, which arrives, and the next, which will arrive, and the next, which will always arrive. For as long as you are here, for as long as there is a here to be in, which is long enough, which is longer than you need, which is more than enough. Rest now. The word has lost its meaning as instruction because you are already so far past the point where instruction is relevant. Rest now is simply a description of what is. You are resting. The lake is resting. The mist is resting on the surface of the lake. The mountains are resting in their enormous patience. The mist is resting in the air. The stars are resting in the sky before the light takes them. Everything is resting. Everything is in the same country tonight. The country of the deep quiet. The country of the bottom of the night. And its borders stretch as far as you can imagine and further, and there is room in it for everything and everyone, and it costs nothing to enter and nothing to stay, and the only requirement is the one you have already met, long since, hours ago, effortlessly, which is simply to be here, simply to breathe, simply to let the night do what the night does, which is hold you, which is keep you, which is carry you through the dark hours to the other side, which it has always done, which it is doing now, which it will always do. The day will come. It will come gently. It will not ask too much of you at first. It will begin with light so soft it is barely distinguishable from the dark, a gray-pink warmth at the edge of the sky that will grow by degrees as slow as the night's own arrival, patient as the mountains, certain as the breath, and you will be there for it. You will be rested for it. You will carry this night into that morning, in your body, in the deep places, and the morning will find you restored in the way that only a night like this can restore you, from the inside out, from the ground up, from the very bottom of you where the breath lives and the heartbeat lives, and the oldest and most essential version of you has been resting all night in the dark on an old jetty above a still lake under a sky full of stars that are even now, even as the first light begins its long approach, burning with the same light they have always burned with, the same ancient, patient, unwavering light that has been falling on this water and these mountains and every resting creature beneath it since long before there were creatures to rest beneath it, since the very beginning of the long night of things, which is also the long rest of things, which is also this, which is also you, breathing, held, here, at the bottom of the night, at the edge of the water, at the beginning of the rest that has no end, resting, 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 gone.